Alright, so this is another Patreon request, and this one comes from Jack Oliver, who asked me to do... This is one of his over 40 requests. Yeah, I politely asked him, don't send me any more. That's way more than I intended. As always, if you would like a Patreon request, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the 4th tier, where you guys can send me requests to do, like, videos, or like, whether fanfiction ideas, or verses, or reviews for something. Just anything in general. Just don't send me, like, a shit ton right out the gate, because I want to get to as many people as I can. If you, like, I'm fine with, like, if you just send me, like, 5 each time, and I finish those 5, then you can send me 5 more. Yeah, I'm fine with 4 or 5 right out the gate. Because that's manageable. I can get to those back and forth. Like, that's more manageable, and I don't run the risk of, oh god, did I forget one? Anyway, so as always, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the 4th tier, be greatly appreciated. Trying to make that get away from this job. So yeah. Anyway, so let's get into this one of many Patreon requests. And that is Fantastic Four and a crossover between Fantastic Four and Tenchi Muyo, which, funny enough, is actually a crossover I've actually thought about a few times, because if there was any thing to cross over with Tenchi Muyo, and there's a lot, but like the one that always stuck out comic-wise was Fantastic Four, because Tenchi Muyo does have this kind of Fantastic Four fun to it, like that fun kind of like cosmic family, and it's a little more like a harem. It's basically Fantastic Four is a harem anime. I immediately regret saying that, but then I remember, oh yeah, Ayeka and Sasami are Tenchi's aunts. It's hard to get over. It's hard to get over that. Anyway, and sadly, I'm not wrong that saying that it's Fantastic Four as a harem, Tenchi Muyo is Fantastic Four as a harem anime. It's both disgusting and very accurate. And that's one of my favorite animes ever. Anyway, so let's get into the actual story for this. Like, let's get into the actual story. So the story is that it more or less starts out in 2 separate spots. The Fantastic Four are having an experiment in the negative zone, and meanwhile, Washu, remember, her little home, her little house, that's very TARDIS-esque house, is like its own little universe. So she's having running an experiment with everyone in there. And when both the Fantastic Four and everyone at the Masaki house step out, they're immediately encountered by a vastly different world. They weren't affected by this universe change because they were outside of that universe. They were outside of that universal change. So both parties are like, holy shit, what just happened? Like, what caused our reality to shift? And both Washu and Reed kind of like both. Well, let's start out with like what happened to the reality. Starting off with Franklin and Valeria Richards, they're gone. Everyone, like heroes and all that, they're gone. Same with the Masaki house. Tenchi's dad and grandfather blinked out, like they're gone. And what's in place in this new horrific reality is that Doctor Doom now rules. Like, Doctor Doom just suddenly ruled right out the gate. But the thing is that it's not Victor. It's not Victor Von Doom. It's Kagato Von Doom. Yeah. This amalgam of Kagato and Doctor Doom is now ruling the Earth. And yeah, it's pretty messed up. So they're like, well, so both respective parties are like, how the hell did that even happen? All they can really figure is that some powerful force altered reality and more or less merged Kagato and Doctor Doom into one being and altered reality in this state. We just got to figure out what that is. So the two parties kind of can, like, the Masaki house travel to New York and encounter the Fantastic Four. the two parties are like obviously like detect that they're from outside that reality shift, so they're kind of like, well, maybe it was their fault. So it goes into the whole like heroes meet and fight for the first time, and I wanted to have like this fun moment where like Ryoko and the Thing are fighting, and like the Thing punches Ryoko, and he's like, I don't like hitting ladies, and Ryoko's like, too bad for you, and just punches him through like several buildings. It's also like after that when Sue and Tenchi are the ones who calm down everyone, and the two parties are like, oh yeah, it's the Fantastic Four. Tenchi has to explain, they're superheroes. The Fantastic Four is superheroes. It's cool. Don't worry about it. They're fine. So after being talked off a ledge, the two parties unite and put their brains together. Although it becomes very evident that Washu is just outclassing Reed. Like, she kind of, like, when Reed and Washu are working together to figure out what's going on with this reality shift, Washu's kind of like, she tells Reed straight up, get away from me, you elastic monkey. You are nothing but but just slowing me down. Go sit over there and put on a dunce cap. And it's kind of funny because Ben and Sue, or like Ben and Johnny are like, holy crap, Reed's being talked down. Like, this is the first time Reed's ever been talked down to. Like, this is the first time in Reed's life that he has ever been, like, treated as, like, an idiot. And Reed's almost like, do I do that to people? Is that what it feels like? Oh my god. Sue, I'm such an asshole. I'm sorry. I'm kind of, like, sometimes I can't remember how smart I am. And Washu goes, don't worry, you're not that smart. So the two like, they more or less discover Washu with a little bit. She lets Reed help, like kind of like a gold star. Here, you helped. Here's a pumpkin sticker. It's kind of like almost like that. And essentially, so they discover that there are 2 points in time that are where the reality shift happens. So the two sides have to there has to be 2 parties to travel there. Now, thankfully, the Fantastic Four still have the original Doom's time platform, and they can go to the past, whereas the other team have to stay in the future to find out what's going on here, like find out more of the story behind all this. So the team that goes into the past are Johnny, Ben, Washu, Mihoshi, and Kione, while the rest travel to while Sue and Reed stay with everyone else and try to get more answers from this Kagato Von Doom, who is residing not in Latveria, but actually in Tokyo. He's actually like recreated his ship, the Soja, into a giant palace in Tokyo. So the two teams travel off. The team that time travels to the past have to go back to the Edo era of Japan. The reason being is because in that era there's a timeline that gets a timeline where Kagato, sorry, it's late, I'm tired, but it's basically Kagato interrupted the time where Yosho and Ryoko fought in that period. I know it's not the Edo period, but like I said, it's an altered timeline, and the two fought, and Kagato jumped in and killed Yosho in this timeline, and that's when someone had stepped in, and Kagato stole him and altered the timeline further. Basically, someone stepped in because this was a altered timeline. So that person went there to stop that altered timeline, and instead Kagato captured him and continuously altered time to the point where Dr. Doom got involved, and the two timelines were so fucked up that it merged into one. That person was Immortus. Yeah, Kagato kidnapped Immortus and used him to create this new timeline, this new Kagato Von Doom timeline, while the future team goes to deal with Kagato Von Doom, who is like, it's just Kagato and Dr. Doom armor, and he now knows like, how do you... He also has the power cosmic, because in this timeline, he's killed and absorbed Galactus's energy and has the Silver Surfer and Z from the OVA series as his heralds. And on top of that, he has Dr. Clay working for him as, like, his Boris. If you guys know your deep lore in Fantastic Four, Boris is Doom's, like, like, his right-hand man. So, yeah. So the two timelines converge. Washu frees Immortus, and Immortus fixes the timeline, and everything goes back to normal, and everyone's like, huh, the paradox happened. That was weird. I wonder what the paradox was about. Oh well. And there's your story. A lot of it is very much inspired by one of my favorite crossovers, Star Trek and the Legion of Superheroes. It's a very good crossover. You guys would love. I absolutely love that crossover, and a lot of that story inspiration came from that. But yeah, so there you go, guys. There's my Fantastic Four. My Fantastic Four Tenchi Muyo crossover. You guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of it? As always, I'd like to thank Jack Oliver for sending me this. Please, not to be mean or anything, please don't send me any more requests. I've got more than enough from you. But as always, if you would like a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to Patreon, hit the 4th tier, and yeah, I will get to your requests as soon as I can. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.